So, how many birds are you on? Not the regular kind of cumulonimbus rain clouds that can be... Oh, earpiece has just popped out. That can be present in this supposedly wet season, which for now has been very dry. Certainly a lot more clouds seen in the summer skies, as it is technically our rainy season, compared to our winters, which are almost every day clear blue skies, which is, of course, it's wonderful because it can be quite cold and chilly, so the sun does a great job of warming us up in the summer months. But I really love the scenery that clouds bring to the African bush. Adds to the experience, I guess. For because it's an incredibly awesome thing to hear. They are so loud. This is a first for me. Usually this African harrier hawk flies off, and this is the first time that it's actually stayed on its nest. Now, I've been trying to achieve this shot since last year. Once Brian and myself actually broke down here for a full 3 hours. So we didn't have an option of leaving, and the adults would not return to the nest during that whole 3-hour period. They flew all around the area, but never were comfortable enough with us. So maybe it's Jerry's calming presence on the back of the vehicle that's reassuring this African harrier hawk. Who knows? Now, this is one of the 2 adults, difficult to distinguish between male and female. And wouldn't it be fascinating to know whether they've got a chick in that nest? It's a kind of scraggly nest built of many twigs and the fork of this torchwood tree. And I'm just going to sit here quietly and patiently for as long as... Oh, there it goes. But you've got to start somewhere. And that was a good start to the habituation of the African harrier hawks. VM's doing a great job and staying with it as it flies through some low foliage. Awesome, what a pleasant surprise that was. Well done, Gerda, who's got 107 birds now that she's added the Lavalian's cuckoo to her list. A few others missing off your list are the classes and the Deirdric's cuckoos. Those we will definitely, be able to tick off, as well as the African emerald cuckoo. That's going to be a tricky one, but still possible. But the Deirdric's and classes are both here. I've heard them singing out, and just before I went on leave, actually, I did manage to get a Deirdric's cuckoo. I'm sure, I think it was a Deirdric's, or was it the classes? I got one of them before we went on leave. Let's take a look here. This is interesting. Really interesting stuff. How cool is that? It's a large rock monitor lizard. It's not the water monitor lizard, it's the cousin of the water monitor. And this one's been living in a cavity in this tree for all of the winter months. But what is interesting is that a few weeks ago I saw a lilac-breasted roller flying out of the same very hole that his head's in. Shame, boy, have you had a long day at the office? You look absolutely knackered. Very tired monitor lizard. Just enjoying basking in those last few rays of sunshine. But maybe it managed to climb back into its hole with a lilac-breasted roller waiting as its meal. They are renowned for eating birds' eggs. The monitor lizards, they've got incredibly powerful smell. And also the ability to climb high up into trees and climb into the cavities that birds may be nesting in. Last year there was a woodlands kingfisher nesting in this hole. A bird that still hasn't returned from migration. And we've just got another update from James Bear, who's got 217 birds on his list since last November. So well done, James. That might be a Wild Earth Safari Live bird list record. Keep up the good work, and let's try and get you some more birds in the summer months. We're going to send you back to Jamie, who's got a surprise for you. Enjoy.
We do indeed have a surprise for you. Look who we found on our way to follow up on the buffalo. And we have a big thank you to say to Tebs, because I have to be honest, I was thinking about buffalo and I did not see her at all. How Tebs spotted her, I have no idea. She's flat, she's off the road, she's behind a fallen tree. We were going at not our normal safari speed. I'm very, very, very impressed. And look who it is, Sneaky Shadow. Hello, girl. Guess you didn't go very far after all. She's about 50 meters from where I lost her this morning. I guess she pulled a sneaky maneuver on me and ducked behind a tree, maybe. I don't know. Sat down in some bushes and promptly disappeared. She's looking very well and very happy, though. I wonder what it was that made her move. She was looking up when we saw her this morning, and then she moved into this block. Maybe she tried to hunt something, I don't know, but we did notice that she's looking quite well fed and full and very contented. Wow, that was seriously unexpected, and some really good luck this afternoon. Look at that. Now imagine we were even further away than this and we were driving. Imagine spotting a leopard like that. If we didn't know exactly where she was, we wouldn't know that she was there. Impressive work from Tebs sitting at the back, providing an extra set of eyes for us all. It's quite I wouldn't say it's a thick block, it's just quite an awkward area, so I can't really reposition to change up, get any closer to her. She's kind of in a circle of fallen trees around us that have been pushed over by elephants, which has provided her with a nice little ring where we can't move any further, but that's okay because we've got a nice clear view of her for now. I wonder what she's got planned for her evening. I did hear a report from one of the other guides that Tingana was calling. I wonder if she didn't hear him and start moving in that direction. Well, the one thing about leopards is that, as she's very clearly shown us, they go where they want to. We have a viewer from the Netherlands. Matty, you wanted to know if this area is fenced to keep the lions and the leopards in. The answer is yes, it is. It does have a border fence, but this area is absolutely enormous. It's 2 million hectares. The Kruger Park is 2 million hectares. We're sitting in the Sabi Sands, which is 60,000 hectares, but connected onto the Kruger without a fence in between them. And essentially this whole wildlife area, including the Kruger and the various private reserves around it, is almost close to 3 million hectares. That's 3 million soccer fields worth of land. It's an area that's bigger than the country Wales in terms of size. So although it does have fences, it is a truly wild area. It is absolutely enormous. Now the fence works fairly well for things like lions and elephants, and for the most part keeps them out of trouble. It doesn't always work for leopards. Leopards, you can't fence a leopard. If a leopard wants to hop over a fence, it's probably going to. It will find a way out around here. So leopards come and go, especially those with territories on the external borders. They do like to move around. So do cheetahs, a matter of interest. If they find a nicer area, they can dig under fences and disappear off. Hyena do, warthog do, jackal do. And of course that makes the occasional situation where they have interactions with the human settlements outside of the park. There's quite a few villages on the outskirts. Every now and again you get photographs. The Kruger National Park has a gate at Phalaborwa, which is one of the big cities in this area. And every now and again you'll get photos of lions walking past the petrol station or the gas station. Elephants as well. That does happen. For the most part a situation that's handled very well. But leopards, like Shadow, are incredibly adaptable creatures. The leopard you're looking at the moment is a true example of a purely wild creature. But there are examples of leopards that have been found living right in the center of cities, living in abandoned buildings, in big drainage pipes. They're fascinating creatures, leopards. They're animals that are very seldom seen, but probably I wouldn't say that they're common, but they're probably one of the most widely distributed mammals that we have in South Africa, stretching all the way from the mountains of Cape Town right up through the country. And each one is perfectly adapted for the environment that they live in. And this beautiful girl, for viewers joining us for the first time, her name is Shadow, and this is pretty much the core center of her territory. She moves along the eastern boundary of Arathusa right up into Simbambili and occasionally onto the western edge of Djuma. So she is a leopard that we see quite regularly and that we know well. And she is the daughter of the famous Karula, the leopard queen of Djuma. And Shadow is about 9 years old. And leopards are territorial, so each one has a distinct territory. Now we've been sitting with those lions and chatting a little bit about how pride dynamics and the fact that there was a takeover has disrupted everything. And bear in mind that that can happen with leopards as well. Their borders of their territories can be fluid. So for example, when Shadow had Sindile with her, she moved further into Djuma to move away from the Anderson male, so a big male leopard that was off in the western edge of Djuma. So if we compare, western edge of Arathusa. So if we compare leopards and lions, although they have very distinctive social systems, they do face similar disruptions and similar problems within their lives. The difference is, of course, that they are solitary. Well, we really have had an extraordinary day so far, and it's about to get even more extraordinary because Scott has some elephants coming down to the dam. So let's head across to him for now.
Welcome back, everyone. Just getting into position here. This is going to be great. This herd of elephants just arrived, and look at all of them. They're going to come and drink here. the initial one that did arrive got a little bit worked off, and that's why it's running off at the moment. It could obviously smell the lions. Look at how beautiful this is. All lined up perfectly. Beautiful reflections in the water. All different shapes and sizes. Magical. Look at the baby trying to drink out of its mother's mouth there. I don't know if you saw that, the one on the second left. Second to the left. And after a hot and dry day like this, you can see they're really enjoying quenching their thirst. There's another big female who's just arrived at the back of the herd now. And great timing. We decided against going to Buffalo's Hook Waterhole. We got a bit waylaid with the African Harrier hawk sighting. And this waterhole thankfully produced the goods for us instead. Now the wind is blowing from the waterhole towards where the lions are, so even though the elephants will be able to smell that lions have been here, and that's why the young bull who arrived here first, who's on the far left of the screen shortly, there he is, he came and had his ears out, head held high, and he ran off probably looking for these lions, looking to chase them away, but he headed off in the wrong direction. Not uncommon for elephants to go off their intended pathway in order to chase lions away. But what may happen is he may even display his discomforts and unhappiness about these lions towards us and may come charging in at us. He's a young bull, so a little bit playful, so anything's possible. Let's see what he does. I'm guessing he is also going to come back and have another drink shortly, because he didn't have a sip. He ran off in search of these lions, I guess. Well, aren't we absolutely spoiled? Jamie's done a great job finding the shadow, the female leopard. We've been seeing lion already, and now this magical herd of elephants. Not a bad sunset safari so far, and the good news is there's still a lot more time left, and who knows what is going to happen in the next hour or so. As we were getting into position to view these elephants, we went racing past the lions, who were not showing any signs of life just yet. So we may have a little bit of a wait on our hands for them, but still very good prospects. Interestingly, I think the one's got a hole in its trunk. VM, if you stay on the one third from the left, watch when she drinks. Watch when she brings the water up to her mouth. Third from the right. So you see that? Keep watching third from the right, sorry VM, the one with her trunks kind of half wet, I guess they all are. It's this one there. You see that? Look at that. I'm not sure if there's a hole in her trunk or what's causing the water to spray out to the side like that. Maybe it's just a funny habit or technique that she's got. But watch closely again now. This is bizarre. Where's the water coming out of? I think it's just her technique. So I don't think she has a leak in her trunk. Let's see if she does it one more time for us. No. Look at her testing the water, trying to get the cleanest possible water. No. Tricky. Beautiful. Well, wasn't that absolutely beautiful and incredible sighting? And we just got a question through from Michael, wondering how much can an elephant lift with its trunk? I've never done any tests personally, but I would say quite easily 150 kilograms with absolute ease, 200 kilograms, so maybe around 400 pounds, 300 to 400 pounds without even flinching. I would say that would be easy for an elephant. They're incredibly large animals and incredibly powerful as well, but I don't have knowledge of any exact tests done. I don't know where they, I'm sure in some scenarios they would have done some kind of elephant weightlifting tests, but I have never read any of that research or documents, but I might be out there somewhere if somebody wants to scratch around and look for any interesting information regarding the weights elephants can lift with their trunk. That would be great. What I can tell you about an elephant's trunk is that it can house 20 liters of water within it, and it can be sucked up in probably 1.5 seconds. A big bucket full of water, empty into the trunk, and then blown into the mouth. 20 liters, so it's a hugely large amounts of water in a very short space of time. So I'm just going to give you a quick update on exactly how sleepy the lions are, so that you guys know what's going on, and thereafter we will send you back to Jamie, who's waiting patiently with a female leopard, for those of you who may have just joined the safari. And there are 5 male lions in this general area, 2 off to our left, 2 off to our right. Quite interesting is a couple of impala that have just come in that are alarm calling at the sleepy lion just off to our left here. And let's see if we can't get to show you the impala alarm call. There we go. It's a nasal snort, and the wind is blowing in the direction of these young male impalas, so it's possible that they caught wind of the lion before they actually saw them, but the lion are lying out in the open. So, not sure whether they saw them or smelt them or possibly both. But they're moving off now to an area of safety, and now we can show you the sleepy lion to our right, which have not even lifted their heads in acknowledgement of the impala's alarm calls. There they are there. Oh, there was a bit of movement there. That's always a good sign. But generally still comatose, but we're gonna wait here, and as soon as they start showing some signs of life, we'll be sure to call you back. But for now, over to Jamie and enjoy the leopard sighting.
I did actually manage to find a sneaky way in, and the lions are lying down, and Shadow is also hasn't moved. She's looking quite sleepy. But we have been absolutely spoiled for choice this afternoon. Donna, you're right, it has been a really incredible day for cats. We've been so lucky. There's another guide or another vehicle approaching this sighting, so when he arrives I'll ask for a bit of an update as to where those buffalo are going. And maybe we can make some decisions then, because at the moment I feel like we're quite spoilt. I'm reluctant to leave our lovely leopard to go racing back to lions just yet, even as it does get cooler. Let's find out what those buffalo are doing first. And Lynn, you mentioned that Shadow might be waiting for Tingana to come out to play. Poor old Tingana, I imagine if that is the case, he's giving her a wide berth. He might be hiding somewhere, in desperation trying to recover and escape the attentions of the various leopardesses in this area. I think he's had quite enough for the time being. I know that the guides did say that they heard sounds of growling from this area this morning after we lost her, and I scoured this place. I don't know how she escaped me, so I've done quite a careful check around us to see if there's any sign of any male leopards, and I haven't seen any. Doesn't seem to be the case. But we joke, it would be about the right time for Shadow to start coming back into estrus again. If her mating with Tingana a couple of weeks ago was unsuccessful, then her body will almost immediately start coming back into estrus. So we saw her mating with Tingana a couple of months ago. Then he was mating with, let me try and remember this, he's got quite the list going on. Then he was mating with Kutile, then he was mating with Karula. Then while I was, no wait, hold on. At some point he was mating with Shadow again. I've now got to the point where I actually can't keep track of Tingana's conquests and the order that they've happened in. Most recent, of course, was Karula. I know that because I was there a couple of days ago. And I think just before that, maybe a week or two before that, he was mating with Shadow. So she will be due to reunite with the males of this area in the next week or so, or the next 2 weeks. We'll see how she goes. For the moment, though, she seems to be quite enjoying the peace and serenity. Look at the belly. She's definitely eaten recently. She's not going hungry. I've mentioned that she is the daughter of Karula, we've been watching over the last few days, and Sean, who's watching from Secunda, welcome back to watching our live safaris. Sean would like to know how old she is. Shadow is about 9, as far as I know, so she's quite a mature female, 9 years old, and she's been established. She was born fairly close to where we are now. She would have been born around Djuma 9 years ago to Karula and has established herself right next to her mother. Guys, please excuse me for one moment. I just need to respond to the radio. Just guiding one of the other guides into the sighting. Sorry. Looking definitely like she needs some rest. She's had quite the nice afternoon. Very, very relaxed. Bear with me one moment. I just want to make sure that this vehicle gets in to a good view site. I think they should be fine. It's always important for us when we have and do work with other guides in this area to arrange with them and make sure that we get to share sightings and that their guests get to experience some of the magical things that we do. And it's very reciprocal. It's a give and take situation. We've got Sean coming in from Arathusa to join us. And I'm going to try and move up a little bit to give him some space. Let me just see if you... I think for now, let's head across to Scott so we can arrange the sighting, and I will catch up with you very, very soon.
So as you can see, at least one of the Birmingham males has started the process of waking up, getting ready for a night out, hunting, patrolling his territory. And it always starts with grooming and yawning, so be sure you're ready to take some screenshots. He's been yawning once or twice already, and I'm sure he's going to yawn again. As you can see, his companion is not looking as eager to start this evening's affairs, and isn't that absolutely awesome? Not a worry in the world right now, and deep in a slumber, even though we're just a few meters away, not concerned by our presence at all. and his tongue's almost even sticking out. There's a few flies crawling around his lips and teeth, and even that's not bothering him. Wonderful. Oh, I've just noticed one of the other males behind us is also up now. This one's getting up. I'm just going to swivel the vehicle ever so slightly so VM has the opportunity to be able to film all of them. That should work. And perfect timing. He was just playing with one of those balls of elephant dung that you saw tumble as he walked past. Look at this. I'm hoping he's going to come and say hello to some of his coalition members. Apologies, I just couldn't resist firing off a few pictures there. Look at this. Right in front of us, just in front of the vehicle. Again, unperturbed by our presence. He skipped the first two. It looks like he's not interested in saying hello just yet, but rather relieving himself with a quick toilet break. You'll notice how they urinate on their feet, which will help leave a trail of scent as they walk around. So if and when they do lose other coalition members, they will be able to reunite with them. Oh, bless you! You may have seen all this snot come flying out of his nose there. He obviously needed that quite badly. Oh, and it's all happening here. And now I'm guessing he's going to go and possibly say hello. No, he just wanted to get a little bit closer to the action, and this behavior is not uncommon for them to flop back down after moving a short distance. It's kind of like us waking up in the morning. It takes some time to get into full swing of things. Okay, there's just been an update that Tingana, a male leopard, has crossed onto Djuma, so I'm just going to make sure I let the other vehicles here know. We're probably not going to be heading there. Ephraim's also just giving an update. There's some monkeys alarm calling nearby to where we are here, so who knows what it is, possibly a leopard. Just upstream from the Djuma waterhole. So a lot of action and predators obviously in the area. Now I'm going to give that report now that the game drive channel's cleared. Stations report of Tingana crossing into Vuyatela from 1 Eye Pan. So, are you going to let off another big yawn for us? They're all in immaculate condition. All of their teeth are still in perfect working order. This will change. And over the coming weeks and months, they are going to probably grow a little bit more in terms of their main size, but their scars and dentition is going to start taking a hammering as they get into fight. Continuing to take down large prey. Oh, he's found himself an elephant ball pillow for his paw there. Quite a popular comfort accessory amongst the male lions out here in Africa. One earlier was also playing with one. Perfect little paw rest or pillow. We've also seen Mvula, a male leopard, using one as a pillow before. I really do wonder where the lioness that was with him this morning is headed off to. She was last seen heading in a westerly direction at about 10:30 this morning. And on the topic of lioness and these coalition members, Laura from Mississippi would like to know, have these males already chosen a pride of lioness that they are going to take care of and mate with? And not just yet, they haven't got any one in specific, and they won't only have one. It's uncommon for coalitions of male lions to only look after one pride of lions, and it's more common that they'll have 3 or 4 or even 5 prides within their massive territory. No different to that of a male leopard, who will again have maybe 4 or 5 females in his territory, depending on how popular, or how, rather than popular, how successful he is or any coalition is. And that's important to remember. It's kind of a misunderstanding that a lot of people have. I guess the Lion King could be a contributing reason for this, and that is that one pride will not just have one male who's there day in and day out to protect them. He will come and go when it suits him. When there's a female in season, he will come in and mate with her. When there's easy meals and free food, he'll come in and claim those meals. And every now and then, he will check in on the pride. But it doesn't make sense for him to be stuck with the pride permanently. His territory is larger than theirs, and needs to go off and patrol and do man things, making sure that the ladies have time to look after their cubs while he goes off and makes sure no intruders come into the general area, other males that will kill his cubs if he's not careful. Good question though, Laura, and look at the beautiful clouds out to the west. I'm glad VM's taken this opportunity to take you up into the sky. A magical, magical evening. The wind has died down quite considerably, and only a very, very gentle breeze is blowing now. Now, just to keep everyone updated, I know we did mention earlier on the radio that Tingana was seen heading on to Djuma. Sadly, there's so much going on today that he is not going to be visited by us. But on the updates of leopards, Karula apparently has also been found quite far to our east on Torchwood, on the next major riverbed called the Mulwanini. It goes the Mulwati, then Mulwanini. She's about 1 kilometer east of our boundary, heading straight south, and maybe she'll return onto Djuma tonight. She's an interesting leopard, that, and is moving huge distances in kind of an irregular pattern. We're not really working out where she moves and where she likes to stay. Her territory keeps shifting. She keeps spending time in weird places, but that's the life of a leopard. It's an interesting one, and we're going to try and follow it as closely as possible. And I just thought you'd like to know that she's all the way over there. The male that she was last seen mating with Tingana has just come into Djuma. Not sure what he's planning to do. Again, probably just checking his territory, which has been fairly newly acquired, and he's chased Mvula, another male, further east to kind of where Karula is now. And maybe what Karula's been doing is she's been wanting to mate with Tingana as well as Mvula, so that they both feel that they may be the father of her next litter of cubs. Although at the rate she's going, I'm not sure if she is going to have any more cubs. I'm not sure whose fault it is, whether it's the males who are not doing the job effectively, or whether she is no longer capable of conceiving. She's been seen mating on a number of occasions with several different males and just can't seem to fall pregnant. So that's going to be an interesting one to monitor. Speaking of leopards though, let's send you over to one with Jamie, and we'll stay here with these lions and be sure to call you back if they start moving.
So chatting a little bit about Karula, of course we are still with her daughter, who's looking very happy. And I wonder if Karula really is heading off to seek out mating opportunities with Mvula. Now, Shadow, as far as we can tell, is still very settled here and looking quite relaxed. It seems as though Tingana has crossed into Djuma around the northern section, around Simbambili. So she definitely isn't waiting for Tingana. I think he's escaped the attention of this particular feline for now. She definitely looking very comfortable. There are other vehicles here, as I mentioned. You can see how incredibly relaxed she is. Now, the fact that Karula is in Torchwood means that she covered probably a distance of, she was last seen crossing into Simbambili, maybe looking for Tingana, I don't know. But she was last seen crossing into Simbambili yesterday afternoon, which means she's moved, I don't know, about 7, 8, 9 kilometers, depending on where she is in Torchwood at the moment. Now, earlier we were asked a question about how far lions will go to seek out new territories. And just to carry on that conversation, since we have been comparing a little bit the leopards and lions that we're seeing, there's a bit of similarity in the fact that the reason Shadow is where she is because females generally, not always, but generally, establish themselves in territories quite close to their mothers, so quite close to the area that they're born in. Very similar to the way that the prides work. They stick around in sort of female-dominated home ranges. But for males, when it does get to the point where they need to disperse, both in male lions and in male leopards, they do often have to cover serious distances. And I know that apparently the furthest a male leopard has ever dispersed away from where he was born was to go from somewhere in the sort of middle of Natal province in South Africa and into the Kruger National Park. That's a distance of probably about 600 kilometers. It's not unheard of. So I know when I spent my leave in the Kruger, one of the viewers, I think it was Raisa, you asked if I had a close look at the leopards that we saw there, and we were a good 100 to 150 kilometers away from where we are now, and you asked me to look around for Karula's sons. And I did say it at the time, it's not impossible. It's unlikely, but it's not impossible. So just like the Birmingham boys covering quite a fair distance to establish their own territories, male leopards do have to move quite similar distances. Now, the way that she'll work for new viewers is she will have her own distinct territory. So Shadow will have her own distinct territory and her mother will have a distinct territory. Because they're mother and daughter, they might every now and again meet up, but they won't socialize in any way. There might even be a little bit of growling, a little bit of aggression, but no real physical contact. So her mother will almost divide up her territory, allow her daughters to move around on the outskirts. And then what will happen is within the various females, so Shadow's territory borders with her mother on that side, and then a leopard known as Quatile as well in this area, and then Salaeshe off to the west. Their territories will be overlapped with those of a male. So leopards are only territorial to animals of the same sex, so to leopards of the same sex. So females will defend their territory from other females, males from other males. But the male's territory will include the territories of various females. And of course, with that degree of overlap, as Scott mentioned, females seek out mating opportunities from more than one male to make sure that they get the highest possible chance for their cub survival rate. I'm going to provide Tebs with a little bit of light now. Oops, that's the wrong light. Here we go. Just to provide a little bit of extra. We're right at the dusk time of the evening. It is starting to get a little bit dark, nice and cool, and it's time for them to head out. As I said, Tingana's just moved across into Djuma, and I said earlier that I have not been able to keep track anymore of Tingana's conquests, and Khada, you suggested that maybe Tingana, we should call Tingana the Casanova of the cat world. He's certainly done very well. What was the other name I thought of earlier? Oh, I can't remember. I'll get back to you on that. I had a thought pop into my head, but it disappeared. Tingana has certainly had some interesting times with the various females. I'm not sure what the Anderson male is up to. I haven't heard much about him, and I've actually never seen him. I've only heard about him. He is a very, very large male that is off to the west of the territory. Hello, beautiful eyes. Sean, there's apparently lions at Arathusa Dam. I don't know if that's been called in on the radio. One of the viewers has just picked it up on the dam camera.
I'm gonna go look.
Can you go over quiz? Cool. Enjoy.
No, good, thanks.
No worries. I hope it's
a lion.
Yeah, me too. Oh, exciting stuff. There's just lions everywhere. Now, Sean's going to race off to follow up on those lions. He's already left the sighting. He's heading off already. I will pass on the message. Thank you for the comments from all of you guys. Yeah, Sean, apparently close to the dam wall. Alrighty, well done everybody. The viewers pointing things out at the Arathusa Dam. Now, I'm as curious as you are as to find out who those lions are, but I'm going to let Sean head across in that direction and find out for us, since we let Sean head across. What I might do, grab my spotlight here, is to provide a little bit of extra light that we can watch shadow. What I'm going to do for the moment is essentially just bounce it off the ground. So rather than shining it directly at her, there's a technique where you just place it slightly underneath the animal to try and get the edge rays to illuminate them. Now, for predators like shadow, it's absolutely fine to use a spotlight on them. What's up, Shadow? She's heard something. Where is she going to go? Try stay with her. Feet disappearing off. Alright, let's find out where Shadow's off to. Bear with me a moment as I slide out of here. She just went to lie down in a different spot. Just to give you guys a bit of warning, there's a chance I might lose you briefly, but never fear, I'll be back up and running very quickly. We just have a bit of a tricky signal area where Shadow's decided to settle down. Just while I'm repositioning and while I have the opportunity to chat to you all, please don't forget that tomorrow morning we will be starting our safari half an hour earlier. So that is 5 o'clock Central African time, which makes it... Oh, sorry, let's hear if we can get an update from Sean. Hold on 1 second, we'll have a look at Shadow while I do this. Yeah, standing by. Sean, just stand by. I'll try and get an update from them. Now, guys, Sean is at the dam, but he's not seeing any lions. He was wondering if there's any kind of direction that you can give him. Okay. Well done. It seems as though it's that lioness that possibly that we saw around Djuma, moving away from the Birmingham boys. Yeah, Sean, apparently she might have been given a bit of a...
You can have... Welcome back, everyone. And I was just joking around with these lions, saying that if they killed the buffalo for us now, we would get them extensions for their manes, and that they could have dreadlocks or long blonde hair or anything that they like. So that's, I think, what you caught the end of. And as you can see, nothing has really changed here. If anything, the lions have got less active than they were before. Sorry that you've lost Jamie. She's going through a tricky signal area, but hopefully it won't be long before she recovers, and well, her signal recovers, and you'll hopefully be taken back to Karula. Sorry, Shadow. Now, I've just heard a few birds calling, some that we spoke about a little bit earlier, the red-chested cuckoo. It could well call again, so I'm just going to whistle out its call so that you're ready to know what to listen for. There it goes. Piet my vrou is what it's saying, which means call my wife in Afrikaans. And I did also hear the faint, there's a Franklin calling now, I did also hear the faint call of the black cuckoo a little bit earlier. But for now there's almost a little bit of a lull in activity, I guess a kind of calm before the nocturnal storm, which is a scary time for a lot of the animals out here. Thankfully, for a lot of the prey species, the heavy wind that's been blowing the whole day has died down, and that bodes very well for them. It's going to be a lot more tricky for the predators to creep up on them without any ambient noise of wind helping them. Now, in situations like this, we need to express patience and the hope that these lions will actually get up and start doing something, or at least one stretching out there a little bit before the end of the show. There's nothing we can do to excite them. Well, I guess there's a lot of things we could do to excite them, but that wouldn't be right. So we're not going to do anything. We're just going to sit here and think happy thoughts about these lions getting up and active. Failing that, we may have to hope for some prey to potentially come onto the scene, and that may also change their attitude. But we've driven around this whole general area, haven't seen too much prey that is going to be suitable for them. They're really only going to focus on bringing down large prey like the Cape buffalo, possibly kudu and waterbuck, but mainly buffalo is going to be what they're after. Oh, looking slightly promising. The one straight ahead of us just let off a yawn, and we just need one of them, the most dominant one, to get up and start moving, and the rest should follow suit. Not always though. Where has the fifth male gone? I'm thinking of just repositioning the vehicle. I can't see him from the spot where we are. Oh no, he is still there, but let's just go for a quick drive there. Keep an eye on him, just to mix up the scenery a little bit. The reason why I couldn't see him was because he's so flat to the ground, he's blending in with the grass. Lisa would like to know if there's any chance that these lions could smell the Salala pride. And it's highly unlikely from where they are now to be able to smell the Salala pride, which are probably a mile away as the crow flies. And if they did smell anything of interest to them, we would be clearly kept in the loop of that. And they would be holding their heads up into the wind, almost breathing in the air or drinking in the air that they want to smell. And they'll do that for buffalo and other lion, even leopard. Any scents that excite them, you'll clearly know when something is testing the wind, and at the moment all they're testing is the back of their eyelids, nothing else. There's a strong chance also if they did have wind of other lions, they would be very excited and not just lying here sleeping. Bearing in mind that there are 2 young males that within the Salala Pride that these males will kill if they get a hold of them, and have potentially already killed one. Now it's just rumors on the Bush Telegraph, there was no conclusive sighting, but I think tracks indicated that these 5 males did come across the Salala Pride of 5, and now, as you saw earlier with Jamie, it's the Salala Pride of 4. There's a chance that that one young male did merely get separated from the pride, but there's also an equal chance that he is now dead. I wonder which lions you guys found at the Arathusa waterhole, those of you who are watching the live camera over there. And great job. I'm told that Sean, one of the Arathusa guides, did race off to the waterhole and relocate that lion, and without your help he wouldn't have had that, so I'm sure he's also hugely grateful. So, sleepy lions. I would hate to know how many hours of my life I've spent with sleeping lions, because that in comparison to the time spent with them on the move would be horrifying, I think. But the good news is you guys don't have to sit here with the sleeping lions anymore, and you're heading back to Shadow. Enjoy.
At the moment we're sitting with a sleepy leopard too. She briefly got up, as you'll remember, before I lost you to the gremlins, or you lost me to the gremlins. But she settled down pretty much about 10 meters away from where she was originally. And there's a couple of buffalo moving around the area, so if you see her perk her ears up and look around, that's what she's looking at. But beyond that, I really don't think that she's going to be up to too much, apart from twitching ears to chase away the flies, which are still plaguing her. Every now and again you can see one fluttering around. And that beautiful, agile body of hers. Such a graceful creature. I actually really like looking at them from this view as well. It's because you get that real tan impression, the darker tan along the top of their back. It's amazing to think how effective just the idea of putting spots on an outline can be. And I know that all of our regular viewers will have experienced how well that camouflage works. It just breaks up that outline and makes them disappear. They look like they could vanish into a patch of grass, and they really could. It's always an interesting experience walking when you accidentally find a leopard. And all of a sudden they are really much closer than you ever expected to be. It's because you didn't spot them. It happened to me. I was actually reminded of this situation. And before I go into the story, well done everybody. Thank you for your update about the lioness. I'm not going to go there because the Arathusa guides have been deprived of lions all day, and there's quite a queue already to go and see that female lioness. But Sean did find her, and that's entirely, actually, thanks to you guys. Very well done. I know that Joanne and Gada, you were wondering if it was the same lioness from this morning. Now, I'm sure that Scott gave you that update that we saw her crossing quarantine. That's actually really difficult to say, crossing quarantine. Crossing quarantine at about 11 o'clock this morning, and she was heading in this direction. So you thought maybe it could be her. I agree with you. I think that there's a distinct possibility. As to who she is, I honestly have no idea. I only saw her briefly as she moved across the clearing, and I genuinely don't know who it might be. It could be part of the Sticks or part of the Ngumas or another member of another pride. I really, really don't know. But I think there's a distinct possibility that it's the same female that we've been seeing. Now, Shadow, you suggested that maybe it was the tailless lioness. I'm going to just get hold of Sean on the radio in a moment and just ask him, because my plan now was actually to head straight back towards the Salalas because of that herd of buffalo in the area. I thought I might go and see what they were up to, because Shadow, I don't think, is going to be up to too much just yet. Now, bear with me one moment as I get hold of Sean. Sean for Jamie. Sean, I was just wondering if you could ID that lioness. One of the viewers thought she might be missing a tail. Okay, I think I copied that. Thanks, Sean. Enjoy. Alrighty, so she does have a tail. Sean's not sure who she is. Now, I know that we've spent some quality time with Shadow, and I really, for the last few moments of our sunset safari, I really want to head across to the Salalas and just see. They're taking a chance, but there are so many buffalo in this area. There's a big buffalo herd at Arathusa that's headed towards the north, and there's also a big buffalo herd at Red Dam, which is very close to where the Salalas are. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to say goodbye to Shadow for now, and we're going to head back across in that direction. Now bear with me one moment as we escape out of this block, and then we're going to do almost a Ferrari safari to get there to find out what they're up to. But thank you, Shadow, for a wonderful afternoon well spent. It is good to see you, even if you did give me the slip this morning in a very cunning way. I'll say goodbye to you for now. Have a good evening, girl. Alrighty, let's hit the road and try and get there. We're going to have to move fairly fast, but you can race along with me. But I know that when I do move in this area, there's a chance that I could disappear. So while I race to the Salalas, we'll head back across to Scott, and I will catch up with you in the future.
Well, what a safari it's been. Leopards and lions, amongst other stars of the African wilderness, spotted in between. Not looking promising though. We're going to race you back to Jamie. Apologies, I didn't copy the message very clearly. I'm told there's a herd of elephants approaching the waterhole, and I can vaguely make one out in the dark. I don't think you'll be able to see them with the camera from here, and it's a bit dark for elephant viewing, but they are there. You can hear the black cuckoo now. Very faintly, but I think you can hear it. And hopefully it won't be long before we can get one in the camera for you. I'm sure a lot of you will want to add it to the bird lists. Good good signs now. Grooming's always good, and they've done their kind of initial groom and yawning session, and this may be the second and final one before they start marching off. I wonder where they're going to go. No way of telling. They're kind of in the core of their new home now. They've been spending time north, south, east and west of this position. The fact that they came from the west means they may want to head towards the east and check that area to make sure there's no intruders. Somebody's just calling me over the radio for an update, so I'm just going to chat to them quickly. Go ahead. Just myself here. I think Aubrey's making his way as a second. They're still lying up same place. And there's also the red-chested cuckoo calling. So listen out for that. Well, this morning we were discussing the woodlands kingfisher, another bird who's got a beautiful call that we should be hearing shortly. And a few people took guesses as to when it is going to arrive. Apparently, according to Brent, excuse me, they arrived on the 12th of November last year. So that's something you can work off. And Joanne's just sent through her comments guessing that the first one's going to arrive on the 13th of November this year, and that the first impala will be born, I've forgotten that date, I think early December, the 26th of November. So thanks Joanne for your forecasts. I'm not sure if any of you are in your kind of safari groups may want to start up a friendly betting system. It would be impossible for us to do it with everyone, but maybe if you split up into small groups you'll be able to have some competitions amongst yourselves as to when the first woodlands kingfisher will arrive, and Joanne's next suggestion as to guess the age or the dates is when the impalas will first start giving birth. So that's something I'm looking forward to. They're incredibly cute impala lambs. You do have to ready yourself to see a lot of them being killed. Sadly, they provide a lot of food for lions, leopards. The wild dog pack that's running around here are going to have a great time feeding on them and will possibly kill 4 or 5 in one sitting. So be warned, that is going to happen. Pythons also managed to get caught in on that action, but they are really cute, along with a lot of the other small animals that are born. The wildebeest, zebra, a lot of new additions we can expect to see. But I will warn you in advance that sadly a lot of them will not make it. Better than nothing. I did spot earlier is apparently in view in the Arathusa waterhole camera. She's walking around contact calling, obviously looking for other members of her pride, whichever pride it is. Well, happy to hear that Michael's also equally wanting these lions to get active as I am, and I'm sure a lot of you are, and is asking a hypothetical question, one of course that we would never do, but if we did throw a ball into these male lions, would they play around with it like a domestic house cat? And possibly, but I'm guessing that they wouldn't. if we threw some kind of being that wiggled and wobbled around, that would get their attention, and that may well get them playing. Or if that ball had a string on it and we jiggled it around, it may trigger them to chase after it, but I don't think it's likely that it would provide any entertainment for us, and of course we would not want to interfere in their day. That's one of the things we pride ourselves on out here, is trying to have as little impact as possible on these animals' lives and simply be in a position to share what they do with all of you. And I mean, it's bizarre, even not too long ago, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we found these lions early in the morning. It was maybe 15 minutes to the start of drive, so still cool, not hot, and found them fast asleep. And I said, all that we can hope for now is that some buffalo arrive onto the scene, and that should get them up and moving. They weren't very full-bellied. 15 minutes later, you wouldn't believe it, but the buffalo arrived, and I thought, well, here we go. The lions are going to wake up and start hunting these buffalo. And it turned out that the lions did wake up. They looked at the buffalo. They didn't move a muscle. The buffalo looked at the lions for quite some time, slowly walked away, and the lions went back to sleep. So they've got a mind of their own, and rightfully so. Now, the contact calls that the lioness at Arathusa is calling out is certainly not audible to these lions over here, Sandra. And like I said earlier, if animals smell or hear something, they will make it clearly obvious to us, and they'll all hold their heads up in that direction and be holding their head, ears cocked in a certain direction, kind of like what the one individual is doing now, but with more intent. And it's about 2.5 miles away, I would say, from here to the Arathusa waterhole, which is very far for them to be able to hear a soft contact call. And I guess that is the whole point and reason why they use these contact calls. It's a safer way of trying to communicate with the lions that you are only looking for, as opposed to putting out a massive broadcast, which would be a loud regular roar. And a lone lioness will certainly be in a situation where she would like to use her sense of smell and knowledge of her pride to get into the general area where she's hoping to find them, and only then let out the soft contact calls, hoping that no other lions hear her. Well, good evening again, Vernie. And Vernie's just mentioned that because there wasn't a conclusive battle between these 5 males and the 2 Matimba males, would these 5 males stand their ground if the Matimba males returned? And Vernie, again, it's very important not to assume that they did not have a battle. Simply that we were not there to see it, or anybody was there to see it, doesn't mean that nothing serious did go down. That would be a big mistake, obviously something serious has happened, because the 2 old Matimba males have left their home that they used to live in for many, many years without returning. So these 5 males must have done something, whatever it was, to scare those Matimba males and cause them to leave and never come back. What that was, we will never be sure of, but something of course did happen. And at this stage it's very safe to assume that the 5 males that we are with now are dominant over the Birmingham male, over the Matimba males. Oh, hello Evan in North Carolina, and you are wondering where Scrapper is. Scrapper's just off to our left. It's not going to be easy to tell that it is him, but he is lying up just off to our left with his face facing away from us. I'm just going to give you a quick show of where he is. There he is, there. Not much to see. You can't even really tell that it is Scrapper from this angle, even though he is easy to distinguish from the other males. Well, interestingly enough, Jamie has moved back into the last position of the 4 Salala members. Another pride of lion, 2 lioness and 2 young males that were found earlier on this afternoon, and they have moved off. So we've chosen the wrong lions to hang around with. It would have been better to be with those 4 and at least get to see some lions on the move, but that's safari. It's always a gamble, and I wonder where they've gone. She is going to continue searching for them, and maybe she'll bump into them. I hope she does, because nothing better than seeing lions on the move. But for now, we're going to stay here with these guys and hope that they do something before the end of the safari. Well, hello to Dean in North Carolina, and good to have you on board. I'm not too sure, Dean, what would happen if the 1 lioness that was with this pride bumped into the 4 members of the Salala pride. There are just so many variables that it would be impossible to make a conclusive and educated guess as to what would happen. It's basically one of 2 things. Either she would try and attack them, or she would run away. And so the same goes for the other pride. Now, we can obviously read into it quite basically, in that it would be 4 against 1, so I'd be inclined to think that the Salala pride would be dominant over 1 single lioness. But even still, you just never know what's going to happen out here. There's likely outcomes, but those are fairly self-explanatory. 4 against 1, you would assume that the 4 are going to be stronger. But again, the only way to find out all these questions about what would happen if this lion met that lion is to wait and see when it happens, really, because it doesn't matter which guide you are talking to in Africa, nobody's going to know the correct answer. But nice to try and work out what may happen, but only the lions will know, and even them, if we could communicate them, wouldn't be able to forecast that. I guess it's kind of like saying who is going to win a boxing match, this fighter or that fighter. There's going to be various views and opinions, but until the clash actually happens, nobody knows who's going to win. we've got a very kind comment and offer from Matty, who's watching in the Netherlands, and he said he's going to be working the late night shift for us this evening, making sure that any of the waterhole cameras don't come across any lions or leopards. So thanks for that, Matty. It really does help to have a team of people behind us helping with information and updates, and nothing better than waking up early in the morning and getting a report from the girls in Final Control that you guys have spotted something interesting at any of the waterholes. So thank you very much, Matty, and I hope you get lucky and something interesting does happen at the waterhole. African scopsals are beginning to call. So a quick reminder for those of you who have just joined in and haven't heard the updated safari times. Tomorrow morning we will be going out half an hour earlier, 5 o'clock Central Africa time, but the afternoon game drive is going to remain the same time. So no changes in the afternoon, half an hour earlier in the morning, and we're really looking forward to getting out at first light. It gives us half an hour of cooler weather in the morning where it's more likely that we will find predators and other animals on the move, and it's definitely going to make a positive impact on the safari experience. I hope it doesn't make too much of an impact on you guys joining in, but I'm sure you'll bend and weave and make it happen. Huge thanks to VM on camera today, as well as Nikki and Tara in the Final Control Room, and of course all of you guys. Thanks for joining, Jerry, and we'll see you all next time.
Unfortunately, I flipped a bit of a coin to try and get back to the salon. And I've been trying to follow up and relocate, but unfortunately no luck at the moment. Not sure where those sneaky cats disappeared off to. But still an incredible day to have spent time with the Salala and as well as all the others. But thank you as well as Tibbs for his great spotting, and to Nikki and Tara in FC. Guys, don't forget to join us half an hour earlier tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful day wherever you are, and we will catch up with you then. Bye bye for now.